Story 1. I still remember that summer night like it happened yesterday. Even now, years later, when I drive on empty highways, my knuckles tighten on the wheel and my eyes flicker to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see those impossible headlights behind me. Back then, I was 21, a junior at Ohio State. Every summer, I made the same punishing 16-hour trip back home to Missouri. It was cheaper than flying, and I convinced myself that saving a couple $100 was worth the exhaustion. I had my old beat-up Honda Civic Crusty. I called it because of the reddish flakes creeping up the wheel wells. That car was ugly, loud, and smelled faintly of motor oil, but it never quit on me. Or at least, not until that night. The trip always blurred into the same cycle-cheap gas station food. Endless playlists of classic rock and long stretches of road where the world outside the headlights didn't seem real. I'd drive until my eyes burned, nap for an hour in some Walmart parking lot, then do it all over again. My parents hated that I traveled like that, but I was stubborn. That summer, it was the second night of the drive. Midnight had just passed. I was somewhere in rural Illinois, where the interstate cuts through endless cornfields that sway like black water under the moon. I was running on fumes, both me and the car. My gas light blinked on it, and panic set in. I didn't know this area. Well, the freeway signs were sparse, and the exits seemed miles apart. My GPS finally pinged with a small gas station just 5 miles down a side road, closer than the next official exit 10 miles up. 5 miles off route didn't sound too bad. I told myself it would be fine. I wish I had just kept going. I took the exit and immediately felt uneasy. The road was narrow and poorly lit, flanked by nothing but endless corn. The stalks rose high, blocking the horizon, making me feel like I was tunneling through some living wall. My headlights caught glimpses of broken fence posts and old, leaning barns. Every shadow seemed a twitch dot. When the gas station appeared, it looked like something from a forgotten era. A faded neon sign buzzed weakly above the lot. The pumps were chipped, their paint peeling. The convenience store's windows were coated in grime. It felt abandoned, but the lights inside still burned. I pulled up to the far pump. The lot was empty. No attendants, no cars. Just me, Rusty, and the chorus of crickets echoing across the cornfields. I swiped my card, filled up, and told myself to shake the nerves. That's when it happened. As I capped the tank, headlights suddenly cut across the lot. A dark blue sedan roared in from the road, way too fast. It swerved so close that I had to stumble back, nearly dropping the nozzle. What the hell? I shouted, but my voice sounded small in the wide emptiness. The sedan screeched to a stop on the far side of the lot. Oh, its engine idled loudly, but no one got out. I muttered a curse and hurried back into Rust. My gut screamed to get the hell out of there. I started the engine and pulled toward the exit. In my mirror, I saw the sedan whip into a sharp U-turn and fall in behind me. My stomach dropped. At first, I told myself it was just coincidence. Maybe they were heading the same way. But within minutes, their behavior made that impossible to believe. They were tailgating hard. Their headlights filled my mirrors, blinding me. I tapped my brakes to signal them to back off. They didn't. Instead, they closed in tighter, their bumper almost kissing mine. My palms were slick on the wheel. My mind raced. Drunk driver, road rage. hours. When I merged back onto the freeway, I prayed they'd pass me, but they didn't. They matched every move, mile after mile. They clung to me, weaving slightly, but never attempting to overtake. That kind of stalking feels primal, like being hunted. After 10 agonizing minutes, they suddenly swerved into the right lane, finally moving to pass. Relief washed over me. I braced myself to glare at the reckless idiot as they pulled alongside, but when I looked, there was no one in the driver's seat, no shadow, no outline of a head, no movement at all. I blinked hard, my brain scrambling for an explanation. The windows weren't that tinted. I could see the steering wheel clearly under the glow of the freeway lights. Empty, completely empty. My breath caught in my throat, my hands locked on the wheel. My entire body screamed to get away. The sedan surged ahead, cutting sharply back into my lane. That's when I noticed something else. No license plate. It's just a blank metal panel where one should have been. Then, without warning, it accelerated. Its taillights shrank into the distance until they vanished completely, swallowed by the dark horizon. I slowed to 60, then 50. I wanted that thing far away from me. The rest of the drive was a blur. Every pair of headlights in the distance made my chest seize with panic. But none belonged to that car again. When I finally reached home the next day, I told my family over dinner. My sister loved the ghost car theory, swearing I'd been stalked by something supernatural. I didn't argue. I didn't want to admit how badly it rattled me, but deep down, I knew what I saw, or rather what I didn't see. That driver's seat, empty under the glow of the freeway lights, burned into my memory forever. Since then, I've driven that same route a few times, but never at night. I stick to crowded highways, avoid shortcuts, and top off my gas before leaving civilization, because every time I catch headlights in my mirror, a voice whispers in my head, what if they're back? What if the empty car is waiting for me again? Story 2. They still call it the Devil's Highway, officially. It's been renamed Highway 491, a harmless number meant to wash away the fear. But people around the Four Corners know better. To them, it will always be Highway 666, a road of bad omens, whispers in the desert, and travelers who vanish without a trace. And I was nearly one of them. It was the summer of 1988. I was 20, barely out of my sophomore year at the University of Colorado. My best friends, Mark and Sarah, were the kind of people you plan reckless adventures with. Mark was the dreamer, a would-be poet, always chasing metaphors in sunsets. Sarah was cautious, the one who carried band-aids and wrote everything down in her leather journal. Me. My name's Jake, and back then I was just along for the ride. We planned a road trip through the American Southwest Crimson Canyons. Endless skies, nights by the fire with nothing but stars overhead. The kind of trip you think will change your life. Our route started in Denver, through the rugged San Juan Mountains along the $1 Million Highway, then into New Mexico and beyond. But in Durango, we made the choice that changed everything. We stopped at a dusty little gas station, one of those places where the paint is peeling and the air smells like old tires. Behind the counter stood an old man, his face weathered like the cliffs themselves. "You kids headed to 550? He asked, voice low and gravelly. "Yeah," Mark said, smiling like always. "$1 Million Highway." The old man's eyes glinted. Strangely, take 666 instead. More scenic, remote. You'll see things you won't forget. Sarah shifted uncomfortably, scribbling in her journal. But his eyes, they looked like they'd seen things. We should have listened to her gut. But Mark's grin was infectious. He loved the idea of a haunted road. I shrugged and said, why not? Sounds like a story. So we left Durango and headed south straight into the desert night. At first, the drive was beautiful. The desert stretched out forever, mesas glowing red under the fading sun. Sarah's Honda Accord hummed along, our mixtapes blasting. For a while, it was exactly what we'd dreamed, but as twilight deepened, the car started acting strange. The radio flickered classic rock, one moment, then static, then a gospel choir, that faded into silence. The headlights dimmed and brightened like they were struggling. Even the speedometer spun wildly, claiming we were going 120 when we were barely at 5.5. By nightfall, the engine coughed, steam rising. We pulled to the side, stranded under a sky so full of stars it felt like the heavens were pressing down on us. No cell service, no other cars, just us and the desert. Jog lets me manage to limp the car forward again, but the innies grew heavier. Sarah scribbled in her journal, something's wrong with this road. It feels alive, like it's watching us. Then came the headlights. At first, they were just a glow in the mirror. A car behind us. But no matter how fast or slow we went, they stayed the same distance. Mark slowed down. The lights slowed. I sped up. The lights matched. We pulled over to check a map. The lights vanished. The second we pulled back onto the road, they returned. Sometimes they looked like a pickup truck, sometimes a semi. Once, impossibly, they looked exactly like our own Honda Accord. Our own car chasing us through the desert. Sarah's handwriting grew frantic in her journal. It's been an hour. Same headlights. Same shape. Same shame. It's following us. Changing. Why won't it stop? Around 11 p.m., we saw it, an overturned sedan in a ditch. Headlights still glowing weakly through the sagebrush. Despite everything, we had to stop. What if someone needed help? The three of us climbed out, hearts pounding, but the car was empty. No driver, no passengers, no blood. The engine was warm, keys dangling in the ignition. A half-eaten sandwich sat on the passenger seat, as if someone had just stepped away mid-dash bite. Sarah gasped. The license plate was from Colorado. Inside the glove box, the registration listed 3 college students from Denver who had vanished. Exactly 1 year ago, on that same road. Our blood ran cold after that. Things got worse. Sarah's entries turned jagged, almost illegible. Lights in the desert, voices calling our names. Mark says he hears his sister she's in Chicago. Jake just stares out the window, smiling. Something's wrong with us, and she was right. The road twisted our minds. We passed the same mile marker 47 times. The gas gauge never moved, even after hours. The radio played songs we didn't know, voices we swore we recognized, but couldn't place. Mark started talking nonsense, reciting lines of poetry to the dark. Sarah wept quietly, clutching her journal. Me, I don't remember much. Like something was pressing against my skull, bending my thoughts, and then the last thing I clearly remember was seeing a shadow move move across the road. Not a person, not an animal. Something bigger. Wrong. Weeks later, they found Sarah's car deep in the Cheska Mountains on Navajo land, 200 miles off Highway 666. In a place no road could reach. The engine was still running. The gas tank was full. Doors were opened on inside. There were 3 sets of neatly folded clothes and photographs. Pictures of us smiling with strangers who cast no shadows. One photo taken by an unseen hand showed the 3 of us walking hand in hand into the desert toward something fast, and FORMLESS. Mark, Sarah, and me. But here's the thing. I'm the only one who made it out. I woke up 3 days later, lying in the sand miles from the car. No memory of how I got there. My clothes gone. My mind fractured. They never found Mark or Sarah. Search parties, FBI, Navajo trackers. They found nothing. The old man from the gas station, gone too. The clerk swore no one like him worked there. Security footage showed us talking to empty air, nodding as if in conversation. It's been over 30 years. I've built a life, a job, a family. But I don't drive at night anymore. And I never go near Highway 491 because I still hear them sometimes. Voices in the dark, calling my name. Mark reciting poetry, and when I close my eyes, I see those impossible headlights in the mirrorways the same distance away. I know they're still out there waiting for me to come back. Story 3. I've been chased before by deadlines, by angry dogs, by campus security after a dumb prank. But nothing compares to that night on the road to Cleveland. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see the dim glow of that rest stop. The shadowy man in a hoodie, and the way his beat-up Saturn stalked us through the Ohio backroads. It's the kind of memory that clings like smoke, no matter how many years go by. It was last summer. My name's Alex Morgan, and my 2 best friends, Ryan and Tyler, had been planning a weekend road trip for weeks. We were college kids, broke and restless, craving music and chaos. Cleveland promised both. Concerts, dive bars, a hotel room we'd probably trash. We piled into my 2017 Chevy Impala. She wasn't ready dance in the doors, one speaker buzzing like a wasp nest, but she ran. And that's all we needed. We left. Pittsburgh in the afternoons, sunlight still warm on the city streets, windows down, blasting 90s rock. Tyler, the responsible one, drove first. I rode shotgun. Ryan sprawled in the back seat, already cracking cheap beers. The drive along I-76 was easy flat roads, scattered farmhouses, the kind of summer evening where everything feels possible. We traded dumb stories, laughed until our throats hurt, and swore this would be the weekend we'd talk about forever. We were right, but not in the way we hoped. By 10 p.m., we were about an hour from Cleveland. The sky was pitch black, no stars, just the hum of the tires and the faint glow of dashboard lights. That's when Ryan groaned. Dude, I gotta piss. Like now. Tyler rolled his eyes. Hold it, man. We're almost there. Ryan shot back. Unless you want a mess in your back seat, find a damn rest stop. I checked my phone and spotted one on the map, a little roadside stump tucked between cornfields. Perfect. We pulled off at 10:15. The lot was mostly deserted, cracked asphalt, lit by flickering sodium lights. 2 cars sat far apart, one a rusty pickup, the other some kind of sedan with peeling paint. jumped out before we even stopped fully. Sprinting toward the restroom building, Tyler muttered something about him being dramatic. I leaned back, scrolling my phone, the night air heavy through the cracked window. Minutes passed. Too many minutes. Then the door to the restroom banged open. Ryan sprinted back, face pale, eyes wide. He yanked the door open and dove into the back seat, gasping, "Go, go, Tyler, drive." Tyler snorted. "Nice try, dude. You're not scaring us with one of your pranks." But Ryan's voice cracked. "I'm not kidding. There's a guy, and that's when I saw him. A tall, lanky figure stepped out of the shadows near the restroom. He wore a dark hoodie, hood pulled low, face swallowed by shadow. His walk was fast, purposeful, like he wasn't just heading toward us, he was hunting. A chill ran through me. "Tyler," I whispered, "start the car, now." Tyler smirked, faltered. He turned the key, the Impala coughing to life. The man broke into a run. "Go," I screamed. Tires squealed as we tore out of the lot. In the mirror, I saw the man sprint to a rusty red Saturn parked by the restroom. Its paint flaked, one headlight dim. He jumped in, and the car roared to life, jerking onto the road behind us. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a prank. This was real. The county road back to the interstate was long and narrow, lined with cornfields that swallowed the moonlight. Then 5. Its dim headlight flickered like an angry eye. "What the hell did you do, Ryan?" I demanded, twisting to face him. Ryan was pale, panting. I went in, and this guy was just standing there by the sinks. He looked rough, like he'd been living in his car. He asked if I had any stuff. I thought he meant drugs. I said no. He got pissed, started cussing me out. Then he followed me when I left. "That's it, I swear," Tyler cursed. "Great. We're being chased by some strung-out lunatic." The Saturn closed in, engine growling. My pulse hammered. This wasn't just road rage. This was personal. We swerved around a slow-moving pickup, tires screaming. The Saturn mirrored us, relentless. "Lose him," I shouted, working on it. Tyler snapped, knuckles white on the wheel. A sign for an exit flashed by. Ryan pointed frantically. "Take it. Any exit." Tyler made a split-second decision, yanking the wheel hard. The Impala skidded onto the ramp, nearly fishtailing. Gravel sprayed. The Saturn blew past on the highway, brake lights flaring as it shot by relief. Hit me until I saw headlights appear behind us again. Too close. Too familiar. "Is that him?" Ryan gasped. Tyler didn't wait to find out. Us. The Impala rocked. But we shot back toward the interstate in the opposite direction. For a few agonizing seconds, we waited. Nothing. No headlights. Just black road stretching ahead. We'd lost him by 11:30. We rolled into Cleveland, only half an hour late. We parked at our hotel, legs shaking, adrenaline still humming like electricity in our veins. Over cheap beers in the lobby, we grilled Ryan again. He swore the whole thing was just a dumb exchange gone wrong. The next day, I called the local sheriff's office, described the Saturn, and told them what happened. They said they'd patrol the area, but didn't have much to go on without a plate number. Our weekend in Cleveland was everything we'd wanted. Concerts, bars, chaos. But the shadow of that chase never left. It's been a year. I still drive the same Impala. I still take road trips, but I don't stop at rest areas after dark, ever, because I can still see him in my mind, that shadowy figure in the hoodie, sprinting toward us with unnatural speed, and I can still see that Saturn's flickering headlight in my rearview mirror, relentless, closing in. I don't know what he wanted, my money, my car, my life, but I know one thing: Tyler hadn't pulled that insane U-turn. We never would have made it to Cleveland. 3 roads, 3 voices, 3 warnings, each one whispered from the dark to anyone reckless enough to listen. But remember this: these weren't just tales, they were confessions. Real people, real nights, and real horrors that still linger out there, waiting for the next traveler. So when you're alone behind the wheel and the road ahead seems too quiet, too empty, don't forget these stories, because the next headline, the next missing name, could be yours. If tonight's journey chilled you, make sure to subscribe, because the next ride into the dark is already waiting. Until then, stay safe, keep your doors locked, and whatever you do, don't stop driving.